Hi, I'm Ellie from crystallinks.com. It's Wednesday, March 1st, 2017. On the 13th of this month, we come to the 20th anniversary of something called the Phoenix Lights. You may remember them because you saw them in the news, on TV, on the internet, read about them, heard about them more currently because it's their 20th anniversary. But as you know, it was a series of obviously UFOs, two main events that occurred over Phoenix, Arizona, all the way to Sonora, Mexico. It lasted over 3 hours. It was witnessed and photographed by hundreds, if not thousands, of people. And, you know, we're kind of into UFOs. Why are they here? What are they about? How have they influenced us? Before I go further, I just want to mention something, because if we're going to get to the heart of the UFO mystery, it is interesting to note that within the last week, two things have happened. Something in a memo here from NASA that says, NASA says Donald Trump's request to send astronauts around the moon on the first test of the Orion capsule is within the realms of possibility. So Donald Trump wants to send astronauts back into space after, I believe it's 45 years. Then this week we have Elon Musk, who has announced that SpaceX is going to take 2 tourists also to circle the moon. So you stop and think, oh, that's interesting. I wish I was one of those rich people who could afford to go and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, will these people be signing a non-disclosure agreement? We know there are things going on in the moon. Can't be hidden anymore. Maybe that's the point for 2018 as things are coming to a head in all levels of science and metascience. Are they going to see A, UFOs, and B, lunar bases? And are these lunar bases ours? Are they alien? Are they who knows who, okay? Are they grays? Most people associate with grays. That's why I put on this t-shirt today that was made for me by a client named Rick. He airbrushed a nice little alien and a UFO for me just about 20 years ago when I used to do some psychic fairs and I used to lecture on UFO activity back in the day. But something has to happen now. There's no question about it. It has to happen in Trump's administration, and I believe either he or the leader of one of the other countries, because there are so many countries like Russia and China and the UK and Mexico and all of these big countries that they want to bring this information forward. Actually, when you go to the countries, they do talk about it far more openly than they do here. You can do some research. It's like not unusual in Mexico, which is where the Phoenix Lights were. You know, it's not that unusual to see UFO sightings. Next year, without a doubt, is going to bring major answers to this. It's not just about the sightings, okay? All right, this is what happened. I did a few notes. I'll read a little bit. It said there were two distinct events: a triangular formation of lights that passed over Arizona and parts of, I believe, Nevada and New Mexico, and they went all the way down as far as Mexico itself. Now, those states are all next to each other, okay? The Roswell crash, we're talking New Mexico. All of these have in common Mexico, not a wall, not a border. You're not going to keep UFOs out with a wall and a border, that's for sure, nor immigrants who choose to come in through UFOs and be beamed down, but that's silly. Okay, now, with the UFOs, okay, Mexico has had more sightings than anything else. When I first got online with Crystal Links, which is going to be 22 years ago, I started looking up all the UFO activities because that's all I was excited about it. I was into it, and you know, so many things were on the horizon. They all seemed new. Who would have thought that 20 years later, I'm sitting here telling you there's been thousands of lights since the Phoenix Lights. There's been sightings. There have been research done, interviews done, books written, films and documentaries by History Channel, National Geographic, and others, lectures given with wonderful visual aids, So many people just across the whole world have seen lights, or maybe if they're lucky in daytime, they've seen ships. So great. So they've seen all these things. That was true 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and so forth. I've been hearing this for decades upon decades. When I talk to the UFO researchers now, all these things are still occurring. People who have never seen lights in a UFO get all excited, like, whoa, look at this, something is going to happen. We're waiting for something to happen. We're waiting to get past all of the cover-ups, and they are government cover-ups, let's face it, we're waiting for it to get past that and get into the timeline where the truth is going to be known. Are there really aliens out there? Are these ships created by our governments? If we really go back in time, let's go back to ancient aliens and ancient alien theory, that humans are a biogenetic experiment created by aliens, either to mine for gold on the planet. It's a myth. To do this on the planet, do that on the planet. Most of that stuff is myths. Do I believe ancient aliens came down here and created this root race called humans? Why not? I really believe it's all created by the hologram, the simulation, whatever you want to call it. I do not really think that it was created by aliens per se. But remember that this whole hologram is happening simultaneously. So somewhere out there, there may be giants in a parallel reality, in another simulation, who are walking the earth. Are they mating with humans and pre-humans and creating humans? Are they in labs, so to speak, creating a race called humans as an experiment in emotion? There's so many speculative things one can look at. I mean, we look at all the archaeological discoveries and we say, these are things that were put here by ancient aliens to stir the imagination, to wake us up. Wake up, wake up. There's no way the Great Pyramid could have been built by humans in that timeline, or any of the other buildings, sacred geometry, sacred spaces, sacred things that align to very much Orion, actually. I mean, who knows? There's so many theories. I have spent 22 years with Crystal Links, and my own experience at age 11, being taken on a ship and being shown things and then brought down, and the alien entities that I saw were very much like your spiritual robed beings, a man and a woman. It is what it is. Yes, it did happen, but we want more. This is the here. This is the now. Okay, so maybe, I know we're a biogenetic experiment. I'm saying maybe. This is definitely a biogenetic experiment. And maybe there were ancient aliens in all kinds of forms. Some people say, well, those heads, the beaked heads, all of those gods from the different pantheons, that's what they really look like. They were hybrids. They weren't. They were masks. They were masks over what is a humanoid form. They may have been taller, they may have been stronger, they may have had all kinds of gadgets that they could travel back to their ships and teleport, and all kinds of advanced technologies. It's time for us to know and to understand, who are we? It's the eternal question. Who are we? Why are we here? And this feeling of we're going to get our answers very, very soon. It's kind of goes along with, okay, more UFO sightings, more crashed UFOs, more, I don't know, do people still channel aliens anymore? Because basically the message is the love and the light and the light and the love and all this other stuff. It's whatever you're programmed to, it's whatever connects for you, it's however you go with this. Something happened, obviously, physically and recorded in Arizona on March 13th, 1997. And if you were there, or if you in any way witnessed this or saw it on TV, then it stirred something in your soul. Just like the films and the documentaries and your own personal experiences stir your soul that tell you we are more than who we are now. These, I call them little markers in the grid, okay? I believe that there have been more lights over Phoenix, I think highlighted in 2007 and 8. whatever. I mean, it's like, okay, every year we get better technology, but why haven't we come forward? It's time for the governments to come forward. I just, the only real thing I like about Donald Trump really is the fact that I believe he's the only guy with a big enough pair to just come out there when he finds out the truth and say, hey, listen, this is what's out there. This is what's going on, and just do it. Once he says what he says, and it feels probably 2018, because after that he may be impeached, but when he says what he says, all of the other governments, I feel like a domino effect, are going to follow suit. They're going to put everything online, but it's not just reading redacted information. It's not just reading or looking at pictures that were taken in the 1940s and 50s. Bring it now. Keep it current. Keep it in this timeline. Okay, 20 years ago, something happened, and it's continued and continued. And there's websites that have all the sightings. People write in what happened to them. What actually happened, though, with the UFO community is that, just like with the metaphysical community that was more into nice occults and ghosts and things of that kind, it's become a haven for people who are substance abusers, mentally ill, and all of a sudden they claim to have been taken, and they took their sperm or egg and they created babies. Initially, those reports, I'm a hypnotherapist, and when I heard these reports back in the day, in the 80s from people, it seemed far more credible. Now that it's online, I think people who have mental issues believe it happened to them, or maybe dreamed it happened to them, but it probably hasn't. But it's enough. It's enough with this happened to me, that happened to me. I have an implant, I saw a ship, I did this, I did that, they're under the ocean. UFOs are supposed to be under the ocean. They came up, they came out, they're here, they're there. Let's just get to the heart of the matter. 2018, that's why I kind of started off with the 2018. 2018 seems to be a year where a lot of truths can no longer be hidden. Of course, the energy of why are these truths hidden is kind of obvious. It goes to religion and it goes to fear. Or are they both the same? I don't know. But if we were to discover that we are biogenetic experiments here to study emotions, and most of us are basically not that strong. Some of us are lucky enough to be strong with the emotional package we're given. A lot of people are not. But if we find out the truth about that, and we find out that, hey, wait a minute, there's no God dude or woman or somebody who created all of this, and they're coming back. By the way, nobody's coming back. They're not. The ancient aliens are not coming back. The God myths are not coming back. What if we find out none of that's real? And then worse than that, we find out, oh my God, all these things I've given credit to, or I've thought, I'm such a good person, I have such a good heart, and I help people. Why is my life so messed up? Why can't I find the perfect partner, find the perfect job, find the perfect family, and the perfect, what we call perfect? It's your programming in the hologram. That's really all it is. Don't blame God. Don't blame anybody. This is your experiences. I know I'm cramming a lot in very quickly, but when it comes to UFOs, okay, they've always been around. I believe, in my belief system, because I had my experience, in my belief system, they are always monitoring this hologram. A lot of the ships you see are not government. They're not ours, but they are more or less sort of reconnaissance ships. And mustn't forget, this big talk right now is what's going on under Antarctica, and what happened when Secretary of State Kerry and astronaut Buzz Aldrin went there and he got sick. There are things going on under Antarctica. When I first learned to remote view, that's placing my consciousness part here and part somewhere else, I was doing it with a friend and then a group of people, and the first place we went to was Antarctica. And we all saw what we saw there, and we all compared notes, and we all saw the ships and the buildings, and we saw everything. To me, it's almost like very similar to what they're going to find on the moon. So we've got all these tantalizing thoughts, theories, conspiracies, whatever you play into. It's all about to show itself. And why is it about to show itself now? Because the hologram is going to end. It explains the earth changes. By the way, a friend mentioned to me recently that the magnetic poles are moving very rapidly. He follows this, I don't. But he said they're moving, they're shifting very, very quickly, and that's causing the magnetics to change, and that's having an effect on the emotions of people and animals, all sentient life forms. So that's something else to consider. Everything is part of an algorithm. And that algorithm has taken you and I and generations and eons before us on a journey. Okay? It's been an interesting journey, but as it comes to the fade to black moment when this hologram ends, answers will be given. I really, really trust that. You will understand how this works, why it works, why I call us projections and a holographic illusion, and maybe we will know what comes next. I don't know. I just know this: once this ends and our consciousness, which looks like a little spark of light, once we leave and rejoin into what I call the collective unconscious, everything that we need to know, all and everything, will be understood. It's like when you say, I died or I had an out-of-body experience and everything flashed in front of my eyes. My lifetime, this lifetime's, future lifetimes are existing too, so maybe future lifetimes, but it all flashed in front of my eyes. When this is over and your soul spark leaves this hologram, okay, and it won't do it in fear because the emotion will be gone. It'll just be knowledge. That's what it will be, pure consciousness, light, and knowledge, and you'll understand all and everything. Will you still be you? Will I be Ellie? Will I leave this, and as some people believe, we're going to go into a parallel reality where Ellie and everybody else here is going to live in love and light? Now, that's a bit of a fantasy. Myths. Most of what you read about is myths. I've been doing this long enough, I put the pieces together. I pride myself on the fact that I'm very pragmatic about it. I do not believe you can meditate anything to happen. You can't change the consciousness grids. However they are programmed are the way things are going to happen. That's it. I don't meditate. I don't do anything with altered consciousness. I've never done a drug in my life. Maybe it's my generation. I'm 74. Maybe it's something else. I'm not senile. Don't go there. I just know that as you look around and you see the way everything is playing out now, it is all going somewhere, or fading to black and going nowhere at all, and we'll all leave here and say, wow, that was an interesting experience. So on the 20th anniversary of the Phoenix lights and all the other lights in the sky and everything else you've seen and read about, do we still have anything that's definitive? You may think you have, you may say, but Ellie, I did really have a legitimate experience where I was taken on a ship and this happened and that happened, but let's bring it to the world, because the human experiment is coming to an end, and we really, really, really need to know that we're living in a simulation or a dream or the Matrix or any other name you want to give it. But it is coming to an end, and it is time we know. So you can see lights in the sky. You can celebrate the Phoenix lights by going with a group or a meeting or whatever you want to do that's fun, because most of these things start off with a lecture and then they just get into people networking and socializing and having fun and enjoying the moment. But it's always what's missing in the equation of any UFO conference I've ever been to is, okay, we have this data and this geometry connects with sacred geometry, with this, with that, with that, with that, is the tangible proof that we, as a human experiment, have been waiting for since it began, way back before we know. So on that note, if you are celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Phoenix lights, go out, have fun, go look in the sky. Maybe you'll see more lights. It's doubtful, but go out there and enjoy. Maybe you're one of the people who live out in Arizona who regularly go out and look for UFOs and think you saw something. But there's nothing new. And what's new is the final chapter in our UFO saga, and that is the actual presentation of live, interactive aliens who will come here or take certain people with cameras on a ship, something that we can say, wow, now we have the answers we've always been waiting for. Thank you.